Hey, human family, how are you? It's Darren. Welcome to another episode of Fully Alive Again. You guys, today I want to share with you 7 characteristics of what I believe is one of the most dangerous, lethal creatures on the face of the earth. These people are so camouflaged and so cunningly sophisticated that it is very hard to detect what they are. This makes them very, very dangerous. So let's do what we do and dive deep.
No tears, no fears. Fully alive again after this years.
I want to give a big shout out to the viewers in the UK who have been asking me to analyze Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's relationship, the Duchess of Sussex, to determine if she's a covert narcissist or not. After diving in deep and doing my due diligence, I think there are 7 traits and characteristics of a covert narcissist that I can share that hopefully will illuminate to viewers and listeners just how these people operate. Because a covert narcissist is really a walking time bomb. Being covert is just part of their tactics. Underneath that is a sociopath, psychopath, overt narcissist, you name it, dark triad. They're all rolled up into one when you really break these things down. But what makes a covert narcissist so dangerous is because they're so hard to detect, especially when they're in a beautiful female package. Now, this is serious business because a narcissist is really a walking time bomb. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they're going to unleash chaos, destruction, and literally try to end who you are financially, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, etc. So this is very important. And I know this is a sensitive topic. This is all over the tabloids. And I know you're either team Prince Harry and Meghan or team monarchy, or other words, aka the firm. I don't have a dog in this race. I'm not on either side. But let me say this, I am on the side of those children. I'm concerned with all victims of narcissistic abuse, but I'm mainly concerned with the children. And if my analyzation is correct, those poor kids are in trouble. This is serious stuff. I know I have fun on my show. I have to keep my sanity talking about this stuff. But this is really serious business. So my heart always goes out to the children first, because they are missing so much when you have a narcissistic mother. And throughout all the tabloids and all of the discussions, I rarely hear anybody putting the focus on those 2 little ones that are now in the mix of this. So I hope the information that I share today sheds a light to all viewers and listeners, the characteristics and traits of a sophisticated, highly intelligent, covert narcissist. We often talk about protecting ourselves financially when we get into a marriage, to protect our assets. What about protecting our sanity, our very life, and our children? Understanding these 7 traits and characteristics of a covert narcissist is exceedingly important. And we could flip the shoe and put it on man too. These characteristics and traits are cross-gender. They are traits of a dark energy, a demonic energy, in my opinion. But knowing this on the onset of a relationship is paramount. because it will give you an intelligent evaluation of who you're allowing into your very life. Narcissistic abuse is contextual. It is the things that the parasitic person was doing prior to meeting you and what happened when they met you. So let's take a look at what was going on in Meghan Markle's life before she met Prince Harry.
Your Royal Highness, Meghan Markle, congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
Can we start with the proposal and the actual moment of your engagement? When did it happen? How did it happen?
It happened a few weeks ago, earlier this month, here at our cottage. Just a standard, typical night for us.
It's a cozy night. It was, what were we doing? Just roasting chicken and
Roasting
having
a chicken, trying to roast a chicken.
trying to roast a chicken, and it was just an amazing surprise. It was so sweet and natural and very romantic. He got on one knee.
Of course.
Was it an instant yes from you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I could barely let you finish proposing. I said, "Can I say yes now?"
She didn't even let me finish. She said, "Can I say yes? Can I say yes now?" And then there was hugs, and I had the ring in my finger, and I was like, "Can I give you the ring?" And she goes, "Oh yes, the ring." So no, it was a really nice moment. It was just the two of us, and I think I managed to catch it by surprise as well. So.
Yeah.
What a striking, elegant couple they are. I mean, just remarkable. I remember seeing them and thinking that they were a stunning couple and being very inspired by what they could do out in the world together. And it was an inspiring story visually just to see them two together and to understand that the monarchy was changing. And I was very impressed by that. And I had great expectations for these two and really wished them the best. I thought, I hope these kids make it because they're going to be facing a mountain of hurdles and obstacles. But she is so well put together, remarkably crafted, and just the way that she carries herself, her gesticulations. She is such a lady, and her fashion sense is impeccable. She almost looks like she was groomed to be Prince Harry's wife. As if she kind of groomed herself and positioned herself to be right where she is. Because as Prince Harry will state, and you'll see in upcoming clips, that she was so amazing, almost too good to be true, and how fast he fell in love with her. It was like he found himself a little angel that ain't never done nothing to nobody. Since the day she was born, she's just been floating around, shitting rainbows, butterflies, and unicorns. Or has she? You see, you guys, Meghan was married before she met Prince Harry to a gentleman by the name of Trevor Ingleson. Now, Meghan has always had great aspirations about becoming an actress. Well, just her luck. The stars lined up for her, and Trevor happened to be a film producer that was able to help launch her career by getting her minor roles in TV movies and game show hosting and etc. When she secured her first major role that gave her some resources and a name for herself, she would soon divorce Trevor and do it in a traditional way that narcissists do, a discard. He was quoted in saying that he felt like he was something stuck on the bottom of her shoe. That one day she was cherishing him, and the next day it was like he was something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. Does this sound familiar, you guys? We all know this is a typical discard. And for those of you who don't know what a discard is, it's when someone you're in a relationship with drops you and changes their interactions with you, their thoughts of you, on a dime. One day everything's kosher, the next day you're being ghosted and treated like you're a piece of garbage. This is what ensued before her relationship with Prince Harry. And the little angel continues down the road. It gets worse. While she was dating Prince Harry, early on, she was still engaged to a gentleman in Canada, a celebrity chef, a socialite by the name of Corey Vantillo, something like that. I'm butchering his name. I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately. But that's not the point. The point here is that she did another discard to this guy to get into a relationship with Prince Harry. You see the fluidity of what's happening here? Do you see the consistency of narcissistic behavior? Now, does that correlate with the woman you just saw in that first clip? That stunning, well put together, perfect little angel. You see? You see the difference? Things aren't fitting there. That's when the alarms go off, you guys. So that's trait number 1, is that she's using people. She used her first husband to get access to movie roles and commercial roles and to get into the Hollywood scene. She used her second husband to connect with even bigger fish, people like Prince Harry. So here we have 2 traits of a possible narcissist when we're doing our analysis and analyzing someone that we're going to get into a relationship with. For instance, if you were going to start to court Meghan and or a man that had these types of traits, and you saw the 2 types of things that I just mentioned, using people, then discarding them, and that was some of their MO, that would be a warning signal, and I would say 2 red flags. Maybe 3. It might be a done deal just from that. But let's continue, because there's 6 more.
So can I say yes now?
She didn't even let me finish. She said, can I say yes, can I say yes now? And then there was hugs, and I had the ring in my finger, and I was like, can I give you the ring? And she goes, oh yes, the ring. So no, it was a really nice moment. It was just the 2 of us, and I think I managed to catch her by surprise as well. So.
Yeah.
And this is how long after you first met?
It would be a year and a half, a little bit more than that.
No, just about a year and a half, yeah.
Which for most people would be quite a whirlwind. Is that how it's felt to you?
I don't think that I would call it a whirlwind in terms of our relationship. Obviously, there have been layers attached to how public it has become after we had a good 5-6 months almost with just privacy, which was amazing. But no, I think we were able to really have so much time just to connect, and we never went longer than 2 weeks without seeing each other, even though we were obviously doing a long distance relationship. So it's we made it work.
How did you first meet?
Yes, we first met. We were introduced actually by a mutual friend who
we should protect her privacy
protect
and
her
not
privacy,
reveal too much of that.
And but it was literally through her, and then we met once and then twice back to back, 2 dates in London. Last July,
yes,
beginning of July, and then it was, I think, about 3, maybe 4 weeks later that I managed to persuade her to come and join me in Botswana, and we camped out with each other under the stars, and she came and joined me for 5 days out there, which was absolutely fantastic. So then we were really by ourselves, which was crucial to me to make sure that we had a chance to get to know each other.
Yeah.
But the friend who introduced you, was she trying to set you up?
Yes, it was definitely a setup. It was a blind date.
It was a blind date,
and,
for sure.
And it's so interesting because we talk about it now, and even then, because I'm from the States, you don't grow up with the same understanding of the royal family, and so while I now understand very clearly, there's a a global interest there. I didn't know much about him, and so the only thing that I had asked her when she said she wanted to set us up was, I had one question. I said, well, is he nice? Because if he wasn't kind, it didn't seem like it would make sense. And so we went and met for a drink, and then I think very quickly into that we said, well, what are we doing tomorrow? We should meet again.
What are we doing tomorrow? Let's meet again. And then it was like, right, diaries. We need to get the diaries out and find out how we're going to make this work, because I was off to Africa for a month. She was working, and we just said, right, where's the gap? And the gap happened to be in the perfect place.
So how much did you, Prince Harry, know about Meghan? Had you seen her on TV?
No, I'd never even heard about her until this friend said Meghan Markle. I was like, right, okay, give me a bit of background. what's going on here? So no, I'd never watched Suits. I'd never heard of Meghan before, and I was beautifully surprised when I walked into that room and saw her, and there she was sitting there. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to really have to up my game. I'm going to sit down and make sure I've got a good chat.
I think for both of us, though, it was really refreshing, because given that I didn't know a lot about him, everything that I've learned about him, I learned through him, as opposed to having grown up around different news stories or tabloids or whatever else. Anything I learned about him and his family was what he would share with me, and vice versa. So for both of us, it was just a really authentic and organic way to get to know each other.
And was that quite refreshing for you in the way that you've been brought up, with a lot of people knowing a lot about you? Was it refreshing?
Or thinking they know.
Or thinking they know.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it was hugely refreshing to be able to get to know someone who isn't necessarily within your circle, doesn't know much about me, I don't know much about her. So to be able to start almost afresh, right from the beginning, and getting to know each other step by step. And then taking that huge leap of only 2 dates, and then going effectively on holiday together in the middle of nowhere, and showing a tent together and all that kind of stuff. It was fantastic. It was absolutely amazing to get to know her as quickly as I did.
As quickly as I did was his last words. You see, you guys, for those of you who have not been in a narcissist relationship, or a relationship with a narcissist, better said, you might not realize how fast these relationships evolve, how fast you go from hello to the altar, to living together, to never stop talking on the phone together. It's called love bombing in the community of narcissistic abuse survivors. Narcissist relationships always move very quickly. They proliferate across the board very quickly. That is another trait that you're dealing with a narcissist. It's another trait of a narcissist. Now remember, she got out of an engagement to get into an engagement with Prince Harry. And you guys, for all of you that are Meghan and Prince Harry team, I get it. There is so much hope for this generation with a couple like this. But it's not what you think. That's one of the things that is so hard to accept, because these people are so chameleon-like. They are so covert. She reminds me so much of my ex, and the way that she dresses, her mannerisms, and the way that my ex-wife was when I first met her. They're too good to be true. They are too good to be true. And Harry told you when he first saw her, he was like, oh my God, I got to get my A game on. He's an alpha. I can tell by this man's characteristics, the way that he speaks, the way that he holds himself, and the research I was doing. He's a total alpha. This is a perfect example, you guys, that alpha males get caught up in this kind of shit too. But this is trait number 3. The relationship evolves quickly. You go from hello to which closet do you want? It happens that quick. Another red flag for all of you who are students of this. When you're getting involved in a new relationship, regardless of your gender, if that other person is moving fast, catch yourself and slow things down and start to evaluate what you're doing. It is based on lust in the beginning and sheer utter exhilaration. And it's such a good time. Narcissistic abuse would not happen if you weren't enjoying the process. Narcissists, like I think his wife is, like the Duchess of Sussex is, she probably will not really strike for her complete annihilation until 10, 15 years down the road, till she sees the most vulnerable part of him, and the time when he's going to need her the most is the time that she's going to discard or really try to destroy this man. And God help those children. This is very serious stuff. And for those of you who are listening, if you come across this and you're related to Prince Harry, or Prince Harry, if you come across this accidentally, which I highly doubt, but you never know in the world of social media, no disrespect. It is what it is. I can't pretend. This is the way that I see it. Am I 100% right? It's all speculative. But I wouldn't do this show on Meghan if I didn't believe what I'm saying. I had my life destroyed by this. I had my relationship with my daughter destroyed by one of these monsters. I had my daughter destroyed by one of these monsters. It is imperative that he sees this, or you, the viewer, when you see these three types of traits, uses people, discards people, gets into relationships quickly, that you run in the opposite direction. But there's more. This sweet little angel just doesn't stop here.
Hasn't necessarily responded to this interview.
They've always gone for the tactic of never explain, never complain.
What I was seeing was history repeating itself.
Prince Harry, the spare, declared his father and brother, the heirs, were stuck inside the institution they were all born to serve.
They are trapped. They don't get to leave.
His out, Her Majesty the Queen was not amused watching her grandson and his Hollywood wife embarrass the rest of the royal family in their recent tell-all interview. The question is whether the senior royals needed to be shamed for them to fully understand what was being said. In this private family squabble that's being played out so very, very publicly, there are clear battle lines. On the one side, Harry and Meghan supporters who laud the couple's every move to be inclusive and modern. And on the other, the firm belief there's no need at all to soften the royals' stiff upper lips.
It was nuclear, it was Armageddon.
Right now, I could not feel lonelier.
She brought out her acting ability there. That was very good.
There was very little that I was allowed to do. And so, yeah, of course that breeds loneliness when you've come from...
Their memories of Meghan's time as a working royal vary greatly from her own, including when it came to her dealings with sister-in-law Kate.
Because one is the Flower Girl incident and Kate, and, you know, who made who cry. There was a fitting for the bridesmaids' dresses. There was some kind of row between Meghan and Kate, and as far as I know, Kate left in tears. And apparently the next day, Kate went round to Nottingham Cottage, where Meghan lived with Harry, with flowers as a peace offering, and Meghan shut the door in her face. Certainly, all the accounts that I've heard involve Kate crying. Maybe Meghan cried too, who knows, maybe they both cried, but that smacked to me of score settling.
Do you think Harry and Meghan will ever return to the UK?
Not a chance. They've made their life over there. Their bridges are now ash. They won't be coming back.
Will they come back? My own gut reaction is I think he will. I hope it's with her, but I think that's doubtful.
So you think Harry could return to the UK alone?
Yeah, he's living a lifestyle now, which is so alien to him. He isn't going to have the freedom that most people in LA are going to have. And I think he's going to find that difficult.
We just pray for him.
There's so many things to discuss about this segment and this part of their relationship. One of the devastating traits of narcissistic abuse is that they find a way to get you to alienate yourself from family and friends. And it's different how they do it with each person, not the actual application of how they do it, but the manipulation and the reasons and how they do it varies from person to person. I'm sure she's using his mother's death and how she was treated by the royal family to further manipulate him into alienating himself from his family. That is a major trait of narcissism. They will do that with their children. They will force their own children to be friendless and alienate themselves from the world. They build trust issues in people, even in their own children, and certainly in their spouses too, where you stop trusting people that you should trust and only trust them. You see, when anyone drags you away from those that you love and gets you to isolate yourself from what was once your life, that is not good. That is not love. You can misconstrue it as love, that they're trying to free me from this messed up world and life that I have. But it's your only life, unless your family is full of narcissists and very destructive people, which the monarchy is not. The institution is rigid, but the people within it, I have yet to see a solid narcissist. I could be wrong, but I certainly don't think the Queen is a narcissist. And I think his father isn't a narcissist, and I don't think his mother was a narcissist either. He is loved. I know his brother loves him. I know his friends love him. I know his country loved him and still does. My point here is that love does not take you away from those who love you. You see, Prince Harry is showing the example of love. He's leaving things that he wants, things that he's familiar with, to make his spouse happy. He's going the extra mile. He's dealing with inconveniences because he loves her. Now let's look at her love. Here's what a good woman's love would be like, in my opinion. You know, Prince Harry, your grandmother and your grandfather only have a certain amount of time on this earth. Let's just stay with the family until they pass. And then we can move abroad and we can get out of the firm. But I think you should stay here until then. Your grandmother, you've been through so much with your grandmother. It would break her heart and your grandfather's heart if we left the firm right now. At best, they have another 5 years, and I can muster it out until then. We'll do the best that we can, but I don't think it's a good time for you to leave. There's a sacrifice on her in there. Thus far, she has been a victim of everything, and everything must go her way. The reason that alpha males get caught up with women like this and get destroyed by them and slowly eroded by them is because they're men of honor. She is my lady, she is my wife, and it is my duty as a man to give her the best and to make her happy. That's a wonderful thing when you're with a sentient, sane, good woman. When you are not with a sentient, sane, good woman, it is the kiss of death. So number 4, Prince Harry has been isolated in an unprecedented way. This is astonishing. That isolation piece has me 1,000% convinced that he's dealing with the covert narcissist. And this is serious. I don't think people really grasp, that don't understand narcissism, just how serious this is, especially when there's kids involved. My heart goes out to these people, these sentient human beings that are going to be annihilated by this woman. This is not a maybe. It's already set course. Look at what he's given up. And I think I have the clip. I'll show you where when they first got engaged and they're talking about marriage, even though Prince Harry has been a maverick and a rebel to some degree throughout his life, he had no intention on the onset of their relationship of leaving the firm and moving abroad. That was not in his mind at all. It was instilled into his mind by a manipulative monster, in my opinion. So number 4, the fourth tactic, is isolation. But again, this sweet little angel doesn't stop here. She's got more work to do. Narcissists are notorious for non-stop competition in the victim Olympics. They are victimized by everything and everyone. Meghan Markle is no exception to this rule. If you study closely the events of her life, and especially since she married into the firm, she has been a victim in every relationship, in every event. Now, I want you to think about this. She marries a prince, which was a goal of hers, even though she says it wasn't. There's proof that it was. And she gets this royal lifestyle, which everything has a price, and all that she can find is the negative. She has been a victim from day one, she says. Although in the beginning that was not her language. But as time moves on, they go into victimhood as part of the manipulation of their target. And her target happens to be Prince Henry. So next I would like to show you a series of clips that kind of illuminate the victim role that she's been playing.
His wife Meghan admitted she had no idea what she was signing up for.
I grew up in LA. You see celebrities all the time. This is not the same.
Or how destructive it would become.
I just didn't want to be alive anymore.
Now, I certainly can understand that there would be some abnormal pressures joining the monarchy. You know, let's not pretend. And I certainly respect that she could be under stress. Tremendous stress at that. But I cannot for the life of me understand how she didn't know at least 80% of what she was getting into. It wasn't like she didn't do any research on these people when she was a young girl. Take a look at this next clip, and it's going to show you how she's playing the victim role, that she's not really a victim of being ignorant to the responsibilities and the role she would have to play by becoming Prince Harry's wife and the Duchess of Sussex.
With you. Yeah.
But do you have that sense of responsibility, Prince Harry, for what you're asking Meghan to do?
Of course, that sense of responsibility was essentially from day one, or maybe a couple of months in, when I suddenly realised, actually, this is, you know, I know that I'm in love with this girl, and I hope that she's in love with me. But we still had to sit down on the sofa, and I still had to have some pretty, frank conversations with her to say, look, what you're letting yourself in for is, it's a big deal, and it's, it's not. It's not easy for anybody, but I know that, at the end of the day, she chooses me and I choose her, and therefore, whatever we have to tackle together or individually will always be us together as a team.
So as you can see on the onset, there was a discussion about the monarchy and the responsibilities and how they could use his position in the world to make changes, and how being a part of the royal family would give her access to make changes. She knew what she was getting into. It wasn't like a big freight train came and ran me over and took me into the castle and they locked me up in a cellar. It's not like that at all. Of course there was discussions. Prince Harry is a responsible man. As he said, this is very serious what you're getting into. He was adamant at that. He's not an idiot. He knew that he had to prep her for what was coming, and rest assured she was prepped. So let's continue, you guys.
The Queen herself. This is a blatant lie because Samantha Cohen was hired to be in charge of her royal training. That is, before she quit. It's also important to note that Samantha Cohen was not just hired for Meghan. She had been the Queen's own assistant private secretary for 17 years, and then she retired. The Queen then asked her to please come out or postpone her retirement in order to help Meghan adjust and guide her for an initial period. In Finding Freedom, the opposite was also written. The authors wrote, Meghan, an avid learner studying all she could on royal protocol, was often seen carrying binders full of research so she didn't put a foot wrong. She took her new role incredibly seriously. That day was different, though. She was getting a royal master class in training from...
You would think from the Oprah interviews that Meghan was thrown to the lions, that they just took this little American girl of color and just ignored her and then said, why don't you know what's going on? And never tried to help her get adjusted and learn the protocol of what she was expected to do and be. There was ample resources and attention given to this. She was not a victim here. This is 100% facts.
Perhaps most shocking were their allegations of racism.
In those months when I was pregnant, concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
Who is having that conversation with you?
To call that racism is wrong. At best, it was colorism. And this is what's so disheartening about corporate media, is that Oprah herself has talked about staying out of the sun and how colorism was in her family and part of the norm in the black community. Everyone who's African American listening to this knows when you have two different pigmentation skin tones in a relationship or in a family, these types of questions are asked in our community too. I have dated Asian, Eastern Indian, Latino, and light-skinned African American women, and one thing that they all had in common was trying to avoid the sun. They were constantly aware of how dark they were getting. If that is a measurement of racism, then everyone in the world is racist. We all know, and I'm not saying it's right that we have these type of filters and we ask these types of questions. What I'm saying is that she's using that to triangulate, for triangulation. She's dividing and conquering. She has been talking about racism at a very aggressive standpoint and going to Africa with Prince Harry. That was his passion. Her passion was women issues. It was never on race. But when you need your flying monkeys and you need to divide and conquer and manipulate, you use whatever you can, whatever leverage you can have. And I'm certain she's using that leverage not only on the media and on society, but on Prince Harry too, to make sure that he is malleable and that she can control him, to keep him on the puppet strings. She screams racism, and being part of the woke culture and being very cognizant of not wanting to be racist, he acts accordingly. That question, which I believe did happen, was not that offensive. She looks at that question for the people that she dates. And anyone who's keeping it 100 knows that that's true. Meghan is not connected to the black community to the level that she pretends. And I'm not offended by that. I think people should expand themselves and interact with different cultures. That's the richness of life. I have no disrespect for her for that. I could care less. I'm just saying, don't say those type of things that stir up the kind of emotions and divisions that they do. That's a narcissist. A narcissist does not care about the wake of destruction that they leave behind. They play victim, victim, victim. These people, meaning the monarchy, and the way that that wedding was set up, went out of their way to fuse together the two cultures. At her own wedding, she was around more African American energy than she probably has been during her whole life. She probably demanded a lot of those things just to be a pain in you know what. I don't know that for sure. All that I'm saying is speculative when it comes to the wedding and why she set it up. What I'm saying about colorism and how people are acutely aware of the sun and how dark their kids are or how dark they are is infectious globally, from Eastern Indians to Asian, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, to African Americans on the continent of Africa. Rwanda was what that whole war was almost about decades ago. But I'm digressing. My point here is that is a manipulation tool. The monarchy went out of its way and did things that were incredible to show that they were welcoming a new culture into the monarchy. I didn't want to watch that wedding. I'd rather stick pins in my eyes than watch that wedding. But the lady I was dating at the time was adamant, just begging me to watch it. So I watched some of it, and I worked my way out of the living room, and she'd call me back to look at this or to look at that. And as much as I didn't want to, a relationship is give and take. I watched some of it, and what I saw, it was astonishing. It's like I said early on, I really wanted these two to work. And when I saw what the monarchy had allowed into the royal family and the way that they set up that wedding and the service, I thought it was absolutely amazing. It was a $60 million wedding, if I'm not mistaken. Boy, feel the horror of that racism. Just let it seep in. It's just astonishing, the victimhood. And what this creates is a culture of victimhood to the young minds that are watching this, to the young people who respect these two people and look for leadership and guidance. But it creates a shield for her, and she could care less the wake and the damage that it leaves behind. And that sets us up for number 6. The trait and characteristics of a narcissist is that they are Luciferian agents of chaos. They leave behind a wake of chaos. Everything they touch gets destroyed. Just look what she had to say about the queen in the monarchy a few weeks before they were married.
Have you met the Queen?
I have, yes.
A couple of times.
Yeah,
What was
it's
that
true,
like?
a couple of times. It's incredible. I think, you know, to be able to meet her through his lens, not just with his honor and respect for her as the monarch, but the love that he has for her as his grandmother. All of those layers have been so important for me, so that when I met her, I had such a deep understanding and, of course, incredible respect for being able to have that time with her. And we've had a really, she's an incredible woman.
And the corgis took to you straight away.
That's true.
For the last 33 years being barked at. This one walks in absolutely
Just
nothing,
laying on
just
my feet during tea.
wagging
It was very
tails,
sweet.
And it's just like, oh.
What was it like introducing Meghan to your father and your brother?
What was it like? It was exciting. I mean, I've been seeing her for a period of time when I literally didn't tell anybody at all. And then William was longing to meet her, and so was Catherine. So, you know, they're being our neighbours. We managed to get that in quite a few times now. And Catherine's been absolutely
wonderful,
amazing, as is William as well. Fantastic support. And then my father as well. We had a couple of, no, more than that.
We've had
a handful of teas and meetings and all sorts of gatherings over at his place as well. So. No, the family together have been absolutely, solid support, and my grandparents as well have been wonderful throughout this whole process, and they've known for quite some time. So how they haven't told anybody is again a miracle in itself. But no, the whole family have come together and have been a huge amount of support.
They've been amazing.
And in less than 4 years later, the whole family is upside down. They live in a new country. Prince Harry has left his family, and chaos has wiped out generations of togetherness. It's amazing what a narcissist can do to a family. And as you've seen throughout this whole episode, the constant lying, and that's number 7. Narcissists are notorious liars. They are incredible liars and manipulators. I just want to end with these 2 clips to give an example of some of the blatant lies she has told, because I could have really done 2 hours on just from one interview of lies that this woman told.
The truth is, Meghan was always fascinated with the princess lifestyle, and more importantly, was fascinated with Princess Diana herself. She once blogged about Kate Middleton and even posed holding a magazine cover Kate was on. She was hanging outside Buckingham Palace as a teen, and in a 2014 blog post, she wrote, and I quote, "Little girls dream of being princesses. I, for one, was all about the She-Ra Princess of Power."
It doesn't take an expert to see the manipulation that this woman is doing, and how Prince Harry has been a target for years. This is very serious. She has said time and time again, I never knew who he was. I had very little knowledge of the family. She's been a stalker of the family. Do you guys get this? This is very serious. These people play for pink slips. That's why I really worry about their children. We take narcissism too lightly. You guys, I am sorry to say this is not a happy ending. Not even a little bit. It might be 10 years, it might be 2 years, it might be 20 years. But Prince Harry and his children are in grave danger. This is demonic energy. These people want to destroy you and everything that is good, healthy, and positive. God be with this man and his children. I am dead ass serious. And on that note, you guys, I'm going to put this thing to bed. This is my third time doing this entire episode. I've had a nightmare issues with my software and lost my first episode. And doing things 3 times starts to wear on you. So I hope you guys found some value in this today. And if you did, please give a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and leave a comment if you agree with me or if you don't. Or if you want to talk about anything else, please feel free. I deeply appreciate you guys stopping by today. I've got nothing but love for you. I really mean that. All of you are important to me. We are all kindred spirits, and I really do appreciate your viewership. And always remember, you know I got to get it in. It's better to be used, abused, tricked and deceived, lied to, and even damaged by a narcissist than to be an ass clown narcissist. So walk tall, you guys, and don't worry about what these people did. Seeking revenge is not necessary. Just let them go. They're from a different energy. Let them be and stand tall and live your life. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Until then, peace. Be well.
No tears, no fears. Fully alive again after 6 years.